there was a quick little playlist update for Black Ops 4 that many of you may have missed. Something that if you didn't see it as soon as it went live to everybody, it was probably already applied by the time you logged on to Black Ops 4 later on in the day, or maybe you ended up getting off Black Ops 4 and then coming back later, which again, it would have been automatically applied. So a lot of people missed out on the announcement that a playlist update happened yesterday, but we ended up getting some notes and information on this from Treyarch. So today we're gonna break down what happened with this patch, what happened with this update, what exactly changed, and what you can look out for, because there's definitely something rather interesting here about this that is rather cryptically announced by Treyarch themselves. So that said, let's just jump right into it. Let's start out with some multiplayer changes. There's not all that many, but there are some that may be of relative interest to you. The first one, let's talk about the Paladin Valkyrie variant, because this was one that players, honestly, I think really enjoy. I find this one to be enjoyable as well. Still not the biggest fan of the optic on it, but everything else I absolutely love about the weapon. There actually was a bug recently where if you have attached one optic and 5 attachments, most likely if you're going for, say, the Paladin Gold, there is a challenge associated with that where you have to use 6 attachments, 1 optic, and 5 actual attachments, but it bugged out your entire gun, to which if you aim down sight, your reticle would still be stuck as that Paladin Valkyrie variant with the sort of sword as that center reticle piece instead of whatever optic you placed on it. And so therefore, when it switched back over, the sword reticle piece would not be at the center of your shot, which naturally, I mean, your shot doesn't change placement from there just because of a scope bug, but it was a huge visual issue that messed up a lot of players' engagement with the game. But as of today, that was actually fixed out. So if you're going for this challenge again, or you just want to play around with 6 attachments, or rather 5 attachments and 1 optic, then you should have no problem doing so now at this point. That's great that was fixed out. That was one of the big bugs that was ironed out with this one. Another one, though, was the numbers uniform. And this one in particular we talked about here on the channel just 2 days ago because it was rather interesting. We saw the numbers uniform available for Blackout as well as multiplayer, especially on PS4, for about 24 hours to maybe 36 hours. But then later on, we ended up getting another update the day following, to which that was actually removed. And then for about another 24 hours, it was completely gone. But as of this little playlist update, it then ended up reintroducing the numbers uniform into multiplayer for PlayStation 4. Now, I kind of had a hunch that this was just a bug, but obviously when this sort of stuff happens, we don't exactly know. So we laid out a few other possibilities for what happened with it. One being that it might have been only Blackout exclusive, and the fact that it made its way into multiplayer might have been an accident. We said that there were some other things, that maybe it was going to be a microtransaction uniform later on in the future, like what we saw with the Maddox Carbon Cobra. Fortunately, that wasn't the case, but whatever we theorized about then doesn't really matter because it's been reintroduced. So whether the uniform itself had an issue of it being the bug where it caused issues, or if it not showing up was the bug, I don't think we'll ever really know. But for those players that do have it unlocked, it's now available once again in multiplayer for you to equip. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I personally absolutely love these uniforms. Even if it does give away my position at times, I still think it looks awesome. But for those of you guys that don't have it unlocked, all you have to do is go in and complete the Specialist quest line in Blackout by finding their item in-game. There's a lot of things associated with each of them. If you look at the challenges, it does tell you what you have to look for in the Blackout match for the characters that you don't have unlocked. But all you have to do is find that item in-game, then complete the challenge associated with it, and then once you end up doing that, you'll end up unlocking that uniform in both Blackout and multiplayer. So you can look good in both modes while doing so. So I'm a fan that this was fixed out. I'm a big fan of this uniform as well. But as for the other changes, we ended up seeing that there was a little bit of a fix for Zero, not necessarily a nerf or a buff like I'm sure a lot of people still want, but there was a fix for Zero's ice pick causing some crashes for the game application as a whole. I personally hadn't run into it myself, but I know some players tweeted me about it saying that that was happening to them, so this should hopefully have been fixed out now with this update as of yesterday. Then we ended up seeing some map exploits on the map Morocco in particular, where you could no longer get out of the map, and truthfully, I had absolutely no idea that this existed. I'm glad I hadn't run into contact with it. I didn't see any sort of tweets or any videos about it, but it is nice to know that Treyarch are taking these into consideration and swiftly dealing with those bugs so that they don't become a prominent issue within the map. We saw recently with the release of Nuketown across all platforms that there were a few bugs that outside of the map you could pretty much be invincible. I know you really weren't, of course, but it became very hard to kill you, and those were out there for a little bit. They've gained some mainstream attention. They were finally patched up, but it's nice to see these ones like Morocco being dealt with before anybody really ever finds out about them. Then they also ended up changing a little bit for PC only. These other changes that we're talking about are global. So whether you're on Xbox One, PS4, or PC, you'll have these changes, except for these two of the sleigh bell and some camo fixes for PC in particular. The sleigh bell actually had an issue where if you used it, the enemies could actually see the lights of the sleigh bell through the walls. So you're already at a disadvantage probably for using a melee weapon compared to somebody that may be rig gunning, but then to also have your enemies see you through walls because of those lights, that's obviously something that needed fixed out. It has been. And then also with the camos, players actually could not properly unequip camos in the selection menus on PC only. So those are the multiplayer changes, those last two again being PC specific. But as for the other things that came along with this is where we start to get into that more. So what does this really mean? Because we saw some changes to Blackout in which it really revolved more so around the zombies aspect of Blackout. So more so your diner, Nuketown, boxing gym, asylum, and graveyard areas. But the first thing that was changed out was that level 3 armors were actually completely removed from all zombie stashes. Now, stashes can kind of be a couple of different things. You have your ammo boxes, you have your full-blown stashes, like you can see at Cargo with the underwater stash. There's usually one at Apartments by Construction. There's usually one out in Raid. There's a bunch of those scattered across the map, but these zombie stashes are simply your mystery box locations. So you'll have those at Nuketown, Diner, Boxing Gym, Asylum, and Graveyard, but level 3 armor was removed from just a few of those spawn locations. While there are still those that will be found on the ground spawn, there'll also be ones that are in the regular stashes across the map. The mystery box will no longer guarantee players any level 3 out of that. And that kind of plays into the next change because it makes sense that we wouldn't get anything out of mystery boxes because all zombies have been removed from Blackout for the time being. And this isn't due to any sort of bug, but rather that Treyarch has something sneaky planned for all of us. This seemingly is the first step in a potential new holiday event coming up, which we have had zero teaser on or any prior knowledge, so it's just as much a surprise to you as it is to me, but I'm even more blown away of how this has been kind of handled so far, because Treyarch, the first initial announcement of this, Treyarch tweeted, "It's cold out there in the world of Blackout. Where did all the zombies go? Are they dead again, or are they planning something for the holidays?" And they also mirrored that image in the patch notes regarding the update over on Reddit by posting "something is coming" in something that if you read over those notes, you may have just glossed over because it's literally just in the middle of a paragraph. So they mirrored this image in 2 locations, but it's rather interesting that they're just gone out of nowhere and that Treyarch seemingly are hinting something for the holidays. If I were to take a guess, we're getting some zombie elves or some zombies in Santa hats or something like that. A quick little cosmetic change and customization update here for that, perhaps, though that also may be a zombies overhaul. Maybe we get a Blackout Island completely overrun by zombies and every single location has those in there. That'd be kind of crazy and kind of wild. I don't know how well that would work in terms of gameplay, but I'd also love to see some things like a full-on event happening. One thing that I'd love to see is some snowfall in Blackout, because while we see the snow-covered mountaintops in the distance, it's still sort of a fall aesthetic and a changing of leaves almost as the most that we go in terms of the map changes and how everything looks in the game. So I'd love to see some snowfall, maybe even just if it was static on the ground, or maybe even dynamic weather. I feel like that might be a little too far, but regardless, the next question comes down to when is this going to be? Because Treyarch did say something may be coming here, and by them teasing that, I can't imagine they're not going to do anything with it. What's interesting is that we've already gotten a big week of content as of this past week, and updates for the game usually come out on Tuesday or Thursdays for releases. Sometimes we'll get a title update and some things coming out a little earlier on Mondays, like what we had with the past couple of title updates with some Blackout changes happening before the actual content is released. But we don't usually ever see things released on the weekends, and as it stands right now, we haven't had anything today that will change out how the game itself plays. So maybe by the time this video goes up, something does happen, but it's rather curious. We haven't seen anything just yet, and I can't imagine they update the game on Christmas Eve or Christmas for those that celebrate it, because how many people are going to be playing at that point? They're going to be with families, their friends, or wherever they may be doing real life things. So it's interesting that this is being announced right now. We haven't seen anything about it and what this could lead to. So I'm just as curious as you guys are, but definitely looking forward to seeing what Treyarch have up their sleeve. And the final mention that I want to bring here to your attention is that the death stashes for Blackout have been incredibly buggy, but Treyarch have actually announced that as of today, there's going to be another playlist update happening, another smaller one, so that should hopefully fix out everything by today. Now, as of if this gets delayed or not, your guess is again is as good as mine, but it is something that within the next 24 to 36 hours, death stashes should ideally be fixed out so that anytime you pick up something, it doesn't exit you out of the bag. You have to look away and then back to it to just continue looting. So hopefully that is fixed out, but that is the update that we got as of yesterday. Nothing, again, super substantial in the terms of content updates or fixes, but zombies being completely removed from Blackout is certainly curious, and I'm really interested to see where this goes. That said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys think of this year? Do you think that we're going to be gearing up for another event within Blackout in particular? Do you have any theory as to where the zombies went and when they may be coming back and how they may be coming back? Are you guys a fan of the fixes within multiplayer? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, multiplayer, Blackout, zombies. We got you covered the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, best class setups, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, whatever it is, link it down there in the description below to both of those. Well, that's it out of the way. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.